we're gonna fix a boat pump. Come on. Ahoy! I'm Captain Rob Lee, and welcome to Pirate Lifestyle TV. Arrrrrr! Alright, this is a serious boat project, so let's get to it.
Here's the shower pump. It's located under the bed in the aft stateroom. You can see the hose going in and the hose going out. This empties the water in the shower bathtub. Here's the pump after I loosened the hoses and pulled them off. A hair dryer helps if you need to warm up the hose. It softens them a little bit. And then I just unscrewed the mounts and disconnected the two electrical wires. This pump we put into the boat right when we bought it, so it's 6-7 years old. And it quit working about a month ago, and I had torn it apart at that time and just cleaned it. But the little valves, this is what's called the diaphragm pump. The motor spins, what I'm holding in my hand there, and it's on an offset shaft, sort of like how the horses go up and down at a carousel. And it pumps the diaphragm up and down, and that draws the water in and pumps the water out. And the two little valves that let it go in and out are what's worn out. So a couple months ago when it started acting up, I took it apart and cleaned it. And if I kept the pump primed with water, it would work okay. But it wouldn't draw air and self-prime itself. So I bought a repair kit, and I did that on the internet, shopped around for a good price, and looked at buying just the individual parts versus a kit versus a whole new pump. And I ended up buying the repair kit. So now I'm just, taking everything apart on the base, pulling all the screws out. It's just a tedious job, and it can be kind of messy. The problem with working on things on a boat is getting to most projects. Like this pump is under the bed in the back bedroom. All right, there's the big diaphragm. You can see how worn out it's all stiff and misshapen, and that's the part that pumps up. It draws up, so it pulls the water in, and then when it goes down, it pushes it out. There's the two valves. One lets the water come up in, and the other lets it go out. So it works kind of like a three-chambered heart. There's two small chambers underneath where the water comes in and out. You see the black nipples there. One is in and one is out. And then the third chamber is the big one on the top. And there's the bottom diaphragm. And that's pretty stiff. Lost all its elasticity too. So we'll just yank that baby out of there. And then the pump's all taken apart. And then we'll just clean everything up. Alright, there's everything washed. Here's the new kit that I bought. And it has all the repair rubber parts in it. There's the new diaphragm. And it's a little bit different. It has two little extra holes in it. I have no idea what those are for. And that's the big diaphragm that goes in the bottom. There's the two little valves. And you just put one in up and one down so that they work in opposite directions. I'll flip that over, so that's the way they go in. And then there's the new offset shaft. So let's get this thing put together. So there's the new base, drops right in. Where the other one was all stiff. The new one's real soft and rubbery. And we'll just center the base back on there. Get it pretty tight for now. And of course the important thing is to make sure you put it back together in the right direction so that it works like it's supposed to. So the intake valve goes up and the exhaust valve goes down with the little rubber flappers. And sometimes when you do this stuff, there's a lot of trial and error involved. Because I just had it apart a couple months ago, I'm pretty familiar with how it all goes. And now I've got to take the parts off the old, because I need those discs there and that to put the new diaphragm on. You can hear Tiki and Scarlet playing in the background, I'm sure. They're barking and yapping. They're all the way in the back bedroom. Every morning they wrestle. So there's the new offset shaft with the new diaphragm on it. You can see the old offset shaft off to the side there. And again, I have no idea what those two little holes are for. And after, to be honest, I put this all together and I had the holes lined up and down like you see them there. I ended up turning it 90 degrees so the holes were over top of the two black nipples when I finally put it together. And now I'm just getting everything lined up with the mount that holds the motor on it. And this is an example of what happens when you try to repair things. Again, this pump is 6 or 7 years old, and it's a Jabsco pump, and it's got the serial number right on it, and it's in good shape. Everything is very legible. And I talked to the experts and ordered the kit that they said was for this pump. And after I get the base tightened down here, you'll see what I'm talking about. So now we take the motor and put it into the new offset pump, and it doesn't fit. The shaft doesn't go long enough. That offset is only 3/8 to 1/2 inch deep there. It's just in that little part. So you get to take it all apart, and you can see the new offset shaft laying right in front of the motor there. I had to reuse the old one because it lets the shaft slide all the way through it. It's open all the way from one side to the other. So we take the pump all apart and change the parts out and put it all back together again. So I think I will be firing an email off to Jabsco with photographs of the pump and the serial number and the shaft, and explain that I couldn't use the new one that came in the kit. And I'm sure that's a pretty pricey component to the kit. But the valves, the two little valves and the diaphragm, cost almost as much money as the whole kit, so, which did not include that big two-chambered diaphragm at the bottom. It would have just been the two valves and the upper diaphragm. So we'll get it all tightened down again. This is like the 4th or 5th time of me taking it apart and putting it back together. And now, when we take the motor and slide it in, it goes right through that offset shaft all the way, and it actually sticks out on the other side. So we'll attach the motor to the mount. It's held in there with 2 screws. So the engine, the motor, is held on with 2 set screws there that just hold it up against that framework. And the bottom set screw, holding screw that I'm trying to get in there now, is tucked up underneath that offset shaft. So the alignment is critical, because if it hits, of course the motor can't spin the merry-go-round offset piece there. As it goes up and down and around and around, it'll jam up against that screw. So you got to get everything lined up just right. Alright, now we line that shaft up, and it's held in place with the old-fashioned set screw. The little hex wrenches, and it's metric, of course. So we had to dig out metric Allen wrenches there. There you go. You see me tightening it up with it lined up in place. And I put everything together, and I put it all back in place, and it did leak a little bit around that top attachment to the pump. So as you see in the picture here, there's a little bit of white caulk, and that'll actually dry clear when it's all the way dry, because the water was leaking out a little bit around the top of the base.
I hope you enjoyed this Pirate Lifestyle TV Quickie. With ye help, me goal will be to motivate and stimulate ye friends to be living the pirate lifestyle.